Project skid steer. As you can see, I got a giant wiry mess behind I gotta clean up, but this is basically just going to be a bit of a function test on everything, just to test it all out and see how it's going. I gotta be really careful without that spring in there on that transmitter. It's you just gotta watch what I'm doing, otherwise you can hear the motor sort of strain. So I'll just do the bucket first. I got my functions are forwards, backwards, left, right, boom up and down, and then bucket curl side to side. So let's do a little curl the bucket back first, which I think is that one. Yeah, there we go. So there's that. And then I'll bring the boom down. There's that. And then this will be forwards, backwards, turn, turn. I'm not sure what's going on there. That's weird. That makes it a couple times. And if I go to engage it, I don't know, maybe I've had issues before with these if I didn't have a good contact in there, so I'm gonna have to look at that. That's just temporary anyways. That's all gonna be redone, but either way it does work. It's just all of a sudden it's like I gotta fully engage it for it to kick that one side in. Everything's soldered up on the motor, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But yeah, it's kind of frustrating. I'll have to sort that out. It's weird. I've never had that issue before, but it does work. I just have to, I'll figure that out. So there's the bucket curl, oops, right there. And then this will be fully raised, and then tip that down a bit. Oops, and then it'll be probably a max height about there, and then there's a full curl right there. So yeah, pretty happy with that for sure. Like I said, I did order some 600 RPM motors for the boom, so I'm going to try those out just for fun, see if it makes a little bit of an improvement on the speed. I don't expect it to be a lot. Yeah, that's really kind of irking me a little bit as to why that's doing that. So I'll have to sort that out. But either way, so there's a skid steer there. So yeah, I'll just do a little quick talk about the setup I did for the bucket there, and then just a couple other things too, just to show, and then that'll basically be it for this one. So hang tight. Okay, so first thing I'll try and do here is just go over the setup I did for the boom. I don't know, I know you can kind of see a little bit in there. Basically what I did was I bought a bunch of this brass tubing. I made a couple of mounts to hold the brass to, where's my finger there? It goes across there, and then I made these 90-degree brackets which screw into the back side of the cap to hold on. And then I soldered, actually, sorry, the next step I did was I made another set of 90-degree brackets to hold motors. Maybe if I turn that, you might be able to get a bit of a look in there. So you can kind of see right there. That's actually not too bad. Maybe I'll lift it up and you can see. Maybe you can see a little better. So yeah, there we go. So I made these, whoops, I made these metal brass custom little holders there. There's a bit, that's a little bit better with the light kind of. Anyways, I just did, drilled some holes there. So I got two 1.6 mil screws that are on each side. Those are pretty small. They're like 1.6 mil by 3.5 mil. I made the brass 90-degree pieces that I custom made in my little brake I have, and they're just 90 on the one side. I didn't have enough space to do another sort of like a U-shaped bracket on this side. Initially I was actually going to try and mount a screw kind of through that toy mounting piece right there, and then put them in, but it was just tight for space. So they are screwed in on there, and then they kind of bend down and then go around, and then on those brackets I soldered the metal brass tubing onto them after I put them through the other 90-degree brackets, which are inside. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see the screws there. So I got 2 screws on each side, and that's what holds those. So that's kind of a bit better on that 90. So yeah, you can see them there. So that's how that all went. I kept on saying to everybody, I was like, I really want to try metal. I want to try metal. Try metal. So I did as much as I really possibly could with metal. I did have every intention on trying to make metal, make a metal bucket holder. I'll get into that in a minute when we talk about the bucket. It was difficult. I was not going to be able to do it. So anyways, I made that out of metal. It came out really nice. I was really happy with that. And then the next thing that happened, which was really kind of tricky, which I had not very good luck with either in terms of like trying to stick to metal, was the cylinders. So I don't know if I have any here that, oh, maybe I do. Yeah, this will be kind of maybe a better way of showing it. So that right there looks like absolute dog balls, but that's actually, I got them off Amazon. They're just these little M4 knurled nuts, and they are designed to fit into 3D printed pieces. So I thought, you know what, I'll buy those and I'll put them into some of this brass tubing and I'll be good to go. I've had a lot of luck so far with, you know, like some of the, not particularly this one here, for example, but the thread, you know, on these things, they have like the little piece that protrudes out. Anyways, I had a lot of luck fitting some brass tubing over those and slipping into and making it work so I could make excavator rams. This one I was not so lucky, and the spacing on it just did not work out. I ended up buying some of these shims. They were like really thin, like paper. It was like paper thin brass basically. And I tried shimming them to straighten them out, and oh man, it just did not work. It wouldn't take. I tried soldering it, and it was just eating up cherry red and would not take. So I kind of ended up admitting a bit of defeat on those. Unfortunately, I wanted them to be made out of metal, but I ended up having to basically go with a 3D printed part, and that's what they were designed for anyway. So I put them in there, and I just press fitted them into them after I made them, and then just made the cylinders the length I needed, and away I went. So that was basically what I did for making the rams. These right here are just some of the leftover parts I had from the Magnum skid steer I used to have. These are not going to stay. They're not really, they're working good enough, but they're not really ideal. So what I'm going to end up doing is just getting some countersunk screws and putting them on the back side facing out, and then the nut will go on that side, because the tolerances between the cab and the side of the boom are really tight, and there's not a lot of room there for it won't lift. It'll just get caught on the cab. So that's going to have to get changed, but that's pretty much what I did for that. So yeah, that worked out to be pretty good. And as far as the speed goes, like I said, like, you know, I'm kind of getting a little bit more used to it, and I think it's reasonable, and I think it's okay. The only thing about it was I kind of was hoping for a little bit of a faster lift. So I messed around with some 1,000 RPM motors, which I got. And the problem with those ones is they just spin so fast that they would bind. And then I was having a lot of issues with it. I could get it to lift up, and then I'd try to bring it back down. It would just go out of sequence, and I was not having a lot of luck with it at all. I thought, okay, I'll just lower the endpoints and really slow them down. I lowered the endpoints way down. It did not matter. At that speed, they were just kind of going at a fast pace no matter what I did. So I decided, you know what, to hell with that, take them out. I'll maybe use the 1,000 RPM for possibly, I have a compactor that I did, a soil compactor that has a grade blade on the front. Maybe if I put that back in action, maybe I'll put the 1,000 RPM, because it would be suitable for that. But I'm really not going to use them for much more than that. So I looked at 800 RPM. I was just thinking, you know, maybe I'm just going to try the 600. I'll go a little slower, because I'm sure they'll probably still work not too bad. So I just decided I'll try the 600s. These are 500 6-volt N20 M4 threaded motors, and yeah, that's what I'm going to go with those for now. Maybe I'll try the 600, see how they go. If it is a bit faster, right on. If not, well, the 500s are going to be good enough, I'd say. So that's basically it for that, and then I'll talk about the bucket function next. Okay, this is the setup I ended up making for the bucket. I'm actually really quite happy with it. It turned out to be a lot better than I expected. I've done 2 skid steers in the past. I really tore the original Magnum up and down, and I tried servos for everything, and you know, I didn't mind it. Personally for me, I just kind of found sometimes like just using the servo, although it has a lot of power and I see a lot of great builds using them. For me, I just felt it was a bit too jerky. I didn't really bother to say, hey, maybe I'll try and throw one of those servo speed reduction devices on, or even, you know, I have seen guys using the linear servos, and those seem to actually work quite nice and are quite smooth. But I had already made my mind up that I wanted to try this route with geared motors for doing the lift, so I decided for that I would go with gear motors to lift the boom. And then the problem kind of just becomes, as you go higher, the curl to dump becomes reduced quite a lot. And I tried doing bucket function one time with a continuous rotation servo. It was a cheap one. It didn't really work out very well, and I just didn't have a lot of luck with that. So I ended up putting like an MG82, Hi-Tech MG82, which worked out all right. Just I didn't really get, I wanted that extra curl, and I just wasn't getting it. So I decided, you know, I really have never done a full, well, that's not true. My Brooder skids, or my Mini Shafe's a full geared motor build, but either way, I wanted to do, you know, stick with gear motors because I get a nice range when I get a tall lift like I do on this one, and it really worked out well. So what I ended up kind of doing was designing this bracket, 3D printed this. I really was trying again to make it out of metal. There's no way I was going to be able to do that. I just don't have the materials or the tools to manufacture something like that. So I just ended up designing it and printing on my 3D printer, which worked out really well. And then the next thing became how I was going to make the little device that was going to hold this to that motor and make that motor turn. And I have tons of parts from all the builds I've done. So I went through, and then I found actually, which worked out great, was if you can see those there, see that servo horn there. I can't remember. I think that came from one of those 25 kg servos. I really can't remember. They were one of the red ones, but either way, I ended up using that, and it worked out nice because it has a screw right there, and it has a screw just on the top. You can't quite see it, but there's one there. So that slipped over the shaft of that gear motor perfectly. This motor here, I actually ordered one from China because I thought this one was toast, but I just threw my air compressor on and I ended up blasting out the gearbox, and I got it working again. So it works out really well. So that's nice. Yeah, I ended up using this servo horn, which fit right over the motor shaft. I ended up putting this on first. I left that screw on the back off. I slid that through. That went into that guy there, and then I tightened up that bottom screw last. And then, sorry, the very last thing I did was put that screw back on there, and then that's how I mounted all that. And it is nice and smooth. I really like that. So I have a nice, good full range of rotation on that. It's almost like a real skid steer. If you go too high, it'll dump the load on you from the cab, and then if you go too low, you'll swing the bucket into the cab. So anyways, that is nice. I was really happy with that, and I'm glad that worked out. So that's basically what I did there. It's not really a ton to talk about on that one, but it took me twice to, initially what I did was I had this screw right here was actually in line with the motor gearbox, and I was going to put that on there. The only problem was on the bucket. If you look at there, the screw ended up lining up right where that piece needs to go to hold that bucket on. So that didn't end up really working out too good. So I had to redesign it and move it over there. So I got a extra hole in there, but you can't see it. The only other thing too I was gonna say was on here I got this extra hole too, because that servo horn, it actually has two. If you look on there, you can see it has two. It's got two holes on it, and those are, I thought they were 2.5 mils, so I drilled 2 holes, and they're actually 3 mils. So the cap, or the machine head cap, interfered with the other one, so I ended up having an extra hole there. So I'm just gonna put some, like a little bit of tacky glue or something like that on that, and just cover that hole up, and then that'll take care of that. And then basically is kind of it for the bucket. So yeah, there's that. And then so next thing's gonna be, I got a ton of cleanup I gotta do. I'm gonna have to take the wiring here, and I do have enough room to get past that up in there, so I'm gonna be doing some work to hide the wire up inside the boom arm here. That's gonna run all the way down there, and that'll go into the back. I'm trying to see if I can get away with putting an auxiliary channel on here as well, so we'll see how that all works out. And then of course the next thing will just be, I'll just briefly talk about the details, and then that'll basically be it for the build. So okay, last little bit on this guy here. So yeah, just talking about the cleanup on it. So basically what I gotta do is yeah, I'll watch that. I don't have any stops on that. And there's no spring in the transmitter either, so if I'm not careful and I knock that over that way, or leave that up, it'll just run that motor. Ugh, it'll be bad. So I got to be kind of mindful of where that spring's sitting. I'm actually going to put, speaking of details on this, I'm actually going to put the spring kit, I think, that came with it back into this, because I need this to have some protection. Well, the motors to be protected by this, so it can't get knocked around. So that's one thing I got to do to fix this up. So other things are going to end up being too, like I said before, I might look at down the road putting 600 RPM motors into this, just to see if I can get a little bit faster. If not, well, that's the way that goes. Next things, like I said, will be this wire is going to get hidden up in here and then run down in the back. I need to make sure they get all the tire treads facing the right way, because they're on this side there. I should gotta make sure if they need to be reversed. I don't know. I gotta look at a picture and see which way the treads go on these things, and then move some tires around to get them all looking the right way. As well as some other stuff is going to be, I've got the, I don't know where I put the, oh yeah, this guy here. So I got to get this back in here. So I want to get the interior back into this, as well as in here. I got some cutting to do down here, actually. I got to cut that piece out of there. I don't know yet. I got to really look at this. I wouldn't mind trying to maybe cut some of this out of the way if possible. And I'm thinking about possibly even cutting a hole there. I'd like to see if I can try and slip all the ESCs into here. So if I could put the ESCs into there, that would be really awesome. Then I can leave that open for the guy's feet to go in. I don't believe this interferes with, those screws don't seem to interfere. Well, maybe they do. I might need to do a little trimming just to, yeah, possibly might have to do a little trimming back here, just to accommodate those. And then I can hide all the ESCs under the seat, and then that'll take care of that. And then as far as it goes in the back, if you look down in there, my other plan was, I got that plastic piece in the middle there. I was like, oh, maybe I should cut that out. And I was like, well, I should probably hang on to that. So I'm going to do is, I'll get the ESCs tucked in the bottom behind the seat. My plan is to take the receiver, basically put it in like that. I think I'm going to put it, oh, it's going to go that way actually. I'm going to stuff that in there and try and get that to sit with its back, like that part there, against that bit there on the inside. And then I think I'm going to sneak in a battery right in there. So that'll take care of that. So battery, receiver, ESCs, that's my goal to try for that. And then hopefully I can be able to get this thing closed up and get the brooder guy in the cab. I do want to actually put in another ESC because I really would like to try and get an auxiliary function going on this one here. I think they're a good little versatile tool, and it would be kind of fun to have something like it'd be fun to kind of have something like a street sweeper attachment or something like that, because I never really had anything like that before. That would be fun, I thought, to have as an attachment on there. So yeah, that'll be another thing there. So maybe try and get another ESC on there, and then just run another line, maybe on this side coming down, and then I can plug in, you know, an auxiliary function onto that. You know, lights is one of those things I've never really kind of spent a lot of time doing. It would be cool to have some lights on it though. We'll see. I usually just kind of, I might be able to chuck something up on the roof actually. I usually just use like a little, I do a separate circuit for that. Sometimes I just do like a little watch battery and then, you know, see if I can stick it on the roof or something like that, or hide it somewhere. Maybe I can have some front lights, would be nice, but we'll see. And then, yeah, after that, you know, there'll be a wire cleanup and stuff, obviously, as I build it. And then the other thing too I got to do is just going to be on the underside, and that is I got to get the cover onto this. So I'm thinking magnets for that. I might try something like magnets. I was also thinking too about trying to maybe stuff some lead wheel weights into this thing. I actually got a decent little bit of weight in it now with those wheels, because those wheels are made out of metal. But yeah, we'll see about that. I was actually even thinking too, I could try and hide the ESCs. Maybe I could try to even hide the ESC or two in here. I don't know, wherever I can get them in, really. I don't really care, as long as I can kind of have them. I just want the interior in, and I want the birder guy in the cab. That's the big thing on this. So yeah, lots of little details to clean up. That's going to take me a little bit of time, but it should be a pretty nice conversion when it's all said and done. The other thing too I was thinking about was I was wanting to maybe take the sticker off, and I just like seeing that painted black there, that piece. I thought that might look good, so I was thinking about just painting up this part black as well, just for some detail, and just to kind of finish it off. So we'll see about that. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, that'll basically kind of be it. So you know, I should talk briefly. The limit switches would be a good thing on this, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I gotta start getting kind of creative with that stuff, and yeah, if I get spring on the transmitter, you know, as long as I get comfortable with it, I'm usually not too bad with knowing where I am when I'm operating one of my models. So I might just kind of go that route again. But yeah, that's basically it. That's my Bruder skid steer. Really happy with it. Did as much metal work as I possibly could on it. Yeah, I got to figure out why those wheels are not. I have to go full throttle to get that to engage. I don't know. They were working fine before, and I think it's only when I introduced this. I think this is the problem here. I think I just got, maybe the wires aren't making a good contact in there. So, but anyways, that'll be gone, and that'll be history by the time I'm all done. So there you go. There it is in all its glory. Thanks for checking it out. I'm happy with it. It's a great model. Oh yeah, also gonna paint some silver lug nuts on there as well. I wanted to detail those a little bit, so I was thinking about doing that too. Next thing after that is probably going to be, I need to do a conveyor belt. I need to get a conveyor belt going again, so that'll be my next thing. Anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody checking all the stuff out and the comments I get, and all the people that have subscribed and checked out my stuff. It's awesome. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Ciao.